Yeah, we're now joined by former Roscommon hurling, St Bridget's football, Gary Castle football, Galway under-21 hurling, Galway senior hurling, Roscommon football, and now Portarlington football manager, Anthony Cunningham. Did I miss anything there, Anthony, actually?
Two, maybe, Johnny, where you're from.
What did I miss?
I know, I'm slagging you. Two, maybe, where you're from originally.
Well, not quite now, but close enough. But you like the horses as well, of course?
Yeah, look at it. Pastime really, the horses. It's probably an extension of farming, growing up in a farm and stuff. But yeah, we're involved in setting up a racing club there. Just launched there with the GA heads, Brian Galvin, Peter Tommy, guys in the Midlands and in the West, setting up a racing club. Something that has been there, but going in at a much lower price than if you're in a syndicate, because the costs of racing and getting syndicates going and individuals even racing is very, very high. So this is a much smaller cost, and it's like a GA club really. We have a lot of GA friends and connections and banter, and we just leased 2 horses and we'll race there in March and April.
Yeah, that's lovely actually, and it is on the racing. It is obviously so costly to get involved, and we'll if you are interested, actually get in touch with Andy about that. You can find them online, and it's kind of a cheap way of getting involved in the racing club. But this weekend, Anthony, it's the return of the NFL. Before we get to that, I'm sure you heard Joe Canning talk so nicely about you during the week and your time as Galway manager. He was on Lear Cregale last night, and obviously on off the ball during the week, and it must have brought back some memories.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean a top class production by Joe, and I think everybody you would have got to know in the programme how humble Joe is and what a brilliant family man he is, and I suppose everybody that plays, you play and you love the game, and that's passed on to you by your family and your parents. And Sean and Josephine and God rest her, that came across so strong and so humbling, and so he was so grateful for to his brothers and Gilbert, his one sister, to have got the education he got at home. I think that made the man that Joe is, and top class player, top class fella, and what a brilliant career he's had. And I suppose you'd just be sad that Joe and many others didn't go on to win many All-Irelands with Galway. That's just the pity of it. But they had some success both at club and at county, and yeah, it's a testimony to the man that he is, and very well done by Joe.
Where would he stand in terms of the hurling greats for you? And this is obviously it's a question that will a lot of people will answer differently.
Look, for me, I'd be biased, obviously. For me, he's the best hurler Galway has produced, and he's up there with the top hurlers for the Shefflins and co. He's up there and is good and better than you'll get. He's outstanding. He had everything really. I mean, skill level, his knowledge, his vision, the scores that you'd have seen there last night. There are very, very few people over the years that would ever be able to do and reach and be able to play at the level that Joe did. And it was so, I suppose, it was such a treasure and a pleasure to work with him, but to see him develop and what he did from a very, very young age to, just to his retirement just a year or two ago. So, for me, I'd be biased. He was the best I've seen definitely in Galway, and up there with anyone that you can put at the national level.
We actually we spoke about this a bit earlier as well. Also, the crack with the Henry Shefflin comment. It is kind of a bit mad. You were at the centre of it. Like, it was a sort of a throwaway comment, wasn't it? Really, and all of a sudden it got legs.
Yeah, that happens.
Yeah,
that happens with the journalists.
Sorry, I mean, don't be the fourth to say it now.
At that time, and it's the same now, and it's the same probably this weekend. Lads are looking for an angle coming into the National League. Lads are looking for angles from the unfortunate events of last weekend of the club final. And, it's a dog-eat dog. That's probably not as understood by the general public as I suppose those who are deep in it, that it's in your game, Johnny. It's dog eat dog. It's whoever comes to the best story and whoever sensationalizes something, and that will never change. And it's difficult for amateur players. It's difficult for amateur managers and people, but that's the way the world has gone. It's even tougher now with social media, and any comment in any place is magnified or taken. That was taken out of context. There was no malice whatsoever. It was actually praising and the toughness of Henry's Shefflin and the mindset of the Kilkenny players. They were just they were really, really top class. You'll have seen. I mean, Kilkenny were then what Limerick are now, and another team will come in a few years' time, or maybe in this year. You'll be hoping it's Galway or whatever, wherever you're from, and they will rise as well. So you'll always have that.
I remember speaking to you in the pub one time, and we were having a quiet couple of pints talking about life and horse and all that, and we spoke about how long would Brian Cody be in the Kilkenny job, and you were just kind of emphasising like how utterly absorbed he was in hurling. You were saying he'll be in it for a while yet, and that was actually a few years ago. Obviously he's left now, but you're not far off, because after the Roscommon years and the success you had, you then decided to get involved in Portarlington, which I thought was fascinating.
Yeah, look, you take a break, a mini break, and it's your life. Like now, it's my pastime. It's a busy pastime, and clubs are now going to a level of where probably counties were at 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and a lot of clubs are putting a lot of investment into development of their youth and supporting that. Facilities, for example, even in Portarlington, to me, are two pitches. They have an all-weather pitch. They have a running track in the local after school that they're full use of. They have a gym. They have a hall. The facilities and the ambition. It's not just Portarlington. That's just an example of both hurling clubs and football clubs throughout the country has really grown and gone through the roof, really, to a certain extent. I would say a lot of clubs are probably a lot of their facilities well paid for now at this stage, and they're investing in more coaching for underage, and strength and conditioning has gone to another level. It has to get there because just the game has evolved, and it's the rigours of the game demands that you're physically as well as your skill level is at a level, and that's no different in any county now. But it's great to see. I mean, club competitions, you've seen them there last weekend. Even the pinnacle, you've seen the intermediate and the junior, both hurling and football the week before, which is, it has really opened up the doors for people to play in Croke Park. And it's everywhere you go now. And going back to the racing club that we have, like the banter and the amount of people. I took a day off yesterday. I was in Gorham Park, and the amount of GA people. Yeah. I'm asking you, come on, how'd you get on with it? You spend the day talking about GA, and typically the questions that you're asking there, the network of the GA and the people that are involved in it are, to me, are top class, and they bring it into other sports, and they learn, and they're ambitious, and there's great rivalry, but also there's great camaraderie. The Ballyhale Shamrocks guys were there yesterday. A lot of Kilkenny guys. Well, each end for me there. So Michael Stanley does. There's just reams and reams of different people and club people that you meet, and you all want to have an opinion on last weekend's events and what's happened for the year,
And we've come to that time of the year again. I mean, you are a betting man. Like, what odds would you get at the start of 2023? Not only have you 3 Connacht teams in Division 1, you have none from Leinster, so you've left Roscommon in very good nick in terms of going forward, and I suppose lots of high hopes in the county that they can have a good year. But this Davey Burke has come in and spoken favourably about the potential of Roscommon, but just in terms of Connacht football at the minute, Anthony, I mean, we had Galway going almost all the way last year, Mayo now under Kevin McStay's management. Very, very interested to see how the 3 teams get on Division 1.
Yeah, I think, look, there's always going to be massive optimism and confidence from any Mayo outfit, and Kevin will, bring new ideas and a very, very good backroom team with him, and they'll leave no stone unturned. And that's no cotton on that. Question is, are there footballers as good as the Lee Keegans and others that have retired and maybe were there for the past 10 years?
Can I ask you on that? Does he have the talent to win All Ireland?
Well, that remains to be seen. He definitely has a huge amount of players that are top class. That they need the breaks the same as any other team. They'll need a share of luck. Will they be as good as the team that everybody, the household names that everybody knows for the last 10 years? That's the challenge. Galway, you'd imagine, football-wise, would definitely want to build on last year. That's a challenge in itself, but they run a very, very good show. Torek there and the coach and backroom staff, and they'll leave no stone unturned. They'll be going to just get another couple of percent, and they were so close last year, and they'll be looking to add maybe one or two players. The biggest thing that's probably not maybe is understood as much as will become apparent in a few short months is the amount of games this year. And I think the larger panels will win out on that, because there's the league now, which is cutthroat. Everybody wants to play Division 1, and whoever's in Division 2 wants to get promotion to get up to Division 1. And the games are going to be so tight. That's one. Second, after that will be the kind of championship, or the Munster Championship, or the Leinster Championship. So there's a huge, amount of games in that, and the Ulster Championship, of course. And then it goes into the All-Ireland Series, which is a bigger series of games than there ever has been. And it's in a condensed season. And so there's going to be some teams who will be clever and will be safe and want to be safe with a couple of wins in Division 1 and mightn't, might go through the provincial championship, might suffer. I'm not saying it will, but it could suffer, because you want to have your team in peak physical condition and mental condition and be hungry, and also they're playing their best football come whatever, May, June, July for the championship, because that's where ultimately you're judged. And that's a big step this year that hasn't really been discussed as much, but it's a major challenge.
You mentioned the provincial championships there. Do they still matter at all?
Well, that's going to be a big test, and I think the provincials, managements and players will be using them to sharpen their game, and it won't matter too much if you don't win it.
Yeah.
But they for certain will want to be trying to iron out and improve and show gradual improvement going into the All-Ireland Series. Whereas you saw last year in the league final, Kerry were in the league final, wanted to kick on, knew that the provincial championship wasn't going to probably be as strong, and they were more up for the league final, and they beat Mayo on that. Mayo probably were, saying, look, we're going to have a couple of power matches in the provincial championship, and mightn't have been as, they mightn't have been brought to the boil. She was a horse trainer, not actually as early as Kerry last year in the league final. And teams this year will try and have their strongest hand come the championship.
Well, without putting Davey Burke's words in your mouth, but I kind of am going to do this. Would Davey Burke prefer to win a Connacht Championship this year, or Roscommon to stay in Division 1?
I think that's a hard question. I think with the longevity of it, you're prepared to be in Division 1 for the next couple of years, because Davey probably will look at what does he need to develop and where does he need to go. Does it really matter if they don't win the Connacht Championship? As long as he's in the All-Ireland Series, and if he has injuries and he has to get people right, they won't be risked in the Connacht Championship. So yeah, I would say the league for longevity probably would go ahead in the provincial championship. And if he was asked, or if one was asked, is it the provincial you want to have your level best game at, or level at, versus 4 weeks later in the All-Ireland Series, everybody will be saying the All-Ireland Series was where I want to peak.
If it's a 2-horse race, maybe it's not a 2-horse race, and it's a tight race in terms of the top of the betting anyway, who are you preferring, Kerry or Dublin this year?
I think Kerry won't be as strong early on in the league and will time their run. And will they find some more players? You'll always have to be looking at additional players. I think the standards that Kerry have set for everybody is really, really high. While they have David Clifford, Paudie Clifford, and co, they'll be looking for bigger years. Even bigger performances from many others this year. They will be looking for that. Having said that, I think Dublin definitely this year with McCaffrey back, Paul Mannion back, had Kilroy gone in as a helping hand to Davey Burke. Many different angles. More players committing. I think they were extremely unlucky last year, and we'll go very, very close, I think, to knocking Kerry off their perch. But just never know. I mean, look at last year. That there was fractions in it in the Kerry Dublin match. So that could go one way or the other way. That could have that last score was some kick from Sean O'Shea. So that went 6 inches to the other side of the post. It could have been a different result in the All-Ireland. So, I put the two of them at the same price, Johnny. I'm not betting them, and most certainly the championship. But you would say that Kerry Dublin at the top of the market is fair, and there should be nothing that separates them.
You mentioned it's interesting you mentioned Gilroy there. You obviously do think that'll be significant.
Well, he brings the pack, brings a lot of experience there. They're a small. Dessie Farrell is his top class manager, and they're set up like it's near as you get to top professional sport. They want to work. They've used 3 teams. They train their first team, their second team, and second team, and they play their third team in the World Cup as an example. So the amount of players that they will sit through, and the development that they have done over the years is second to none. And they've set the standard. There's no doubt. That would be that the smaller fractions that they'll bring in. With Mannion and McCaffrey back in Kilkenny, you can most certainly will say that the likes of those players will have worked so hard, and the defeat last year would have hit them, and they'll want to go on better and improve their game even further, and that's the way they think. But it's fascinating. I definitely think Galway Mayo could bring a surprise. There's no doubt. But I think Galway probably panel-wise probably will be looking to be at the top 4 or the top 3 as well. Big question is, can Tyrone get back to where they were 2 years ago? Derry are making big strides. We would have beaten them in the league last year in Roscommon. So Roscommon, everyone will say, well, they're a bit back from the others, but they aren't really. They're deserve to be in Division 1. Most of last year, League 2 winners, and we want to definitely challenge the Mayors and Galways, and it's anything can happen. You get into the business end of the championship the way it's set up.
Yeah, the National League starting this weekend, and really, with such a tight format, a good team could very, very easily, like Dublin last year, be involved in relegation battle soon. Gaelic football coverage and Off the Ball is with AIB, proud sponsors of the GA Football, Hurling and Camogie Club Championships. Check out #the toughest for more. Just a couple of things before you go, Anthony. Micheál Donoghue and Dublin for me is fascinating.
Yeah, it's an excellent appointment for Dublin. I've got Micheál and quite a lot of his background team that he was so successful with, and shrewd man, top class coach, top class manager, has a very, very strong backroom team with him. And Dublin, there are probably some of the older players that everybody, household names that people, were accustomed to. Probably, there may be changes as well, in that they've had a couple of under-20 teams that have been quite successful, and they'll be looking to get to unearth some new talent, most definitely. And it's the hurling landscape is very close. Wexford, as an example as well, as Dublin, will want to make an impression in Leinster, and will want to make at some stage, because there's always huge promise there. The question is, can the top of Kilkenny and Galway and Leinster? It's fascinating, but it will lead to some very, very interesting games. You would think that there'd be a building process and developing process in Dublin for a year or two, but that won't be the way that Micheál and its management and players will address that. They'll be going to win. There would be big expectation as well in Galway hurling this year. That we're very close last year to beating Limerick, and that will be the commentary, and it's valid, and it's they'll be hoping that some of the younger players will improve that bit that you get for after a season or two of playing at senior, and that will make it very, very interesting. And how long will Limerick keep playing at the extremely high standards that they've set? They will get tired. There's no doubt in time. They will get tired. Yeah, they will have injuries, and the hunger for it, and it's only fractions. I mean, you see that from all the time. Yeah. But what a team, what a set of players, and what a setup. But they'll be the guys to beat.
John Kiley already having to answer some questions about his players in recent weeks, and it's all beginning. But we will wrap up, Andy. Just finally, if anyone does want to get involved in the racing club, how do they get in touch?
Yeah, they can direct message me there on Twitter. They can call me there or email me. It's up and running. We have a 4-year-old half-sister to Kerry that'll run in March, April, and a flat horse summer snow that ran last year. We've leased those, so it's up and running. It's just, we want to get 30 to 40 members in. It's small money to get involved in, and it's a GA banter. Lovely. And GA crack, and looking forward to a spring, and Ross O'Sullivan is our main man there. He's our trainer, so he'll be the boss.
Lovely stuff, no better man. Thanks a million for your time, Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Johnny. Good man. Best of luck. Good stuff.